Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are having a fantastic day. So today's upload is going to be a video about a potential snowstorm, just a large system that's going to be occurring this upcoming week. So right now we are seeing a system occurring across the United States. It is rather significant if we were to look at it. There are some pretty decent snowfall amounts across Nebraska and Kansas, and has spread into Illinois, Iowa, and into even parts of Indiana and Ohio, which has left a couple of inches of snow, and this will continue to dwindle away. We're not, it's basically over with. Now we're supposed to, again, I'm sorry I haven't uploaded a video in a while about this snowstorm per se. I've just been really busy. I mean, life's just been very chaotic, obviously. The news, the headlines, everything has been just absolutely, berserk. So life has been completely altered, but I'm slowly starting to get back into the schedule. And I'll definitely keep uploading on this channel, just maybe a little bit less. Hopefully not taking, like a week time to upload one video, but, consider subscribing to this channel if you like weather-related content. I will be definitely getting more active as we go on towards summer, late summer into fall. Right now, I'm still, I still release videos, so if you like this type of stuff, continue, or consider subscribing and liking the video. Liking the video also really helps out a lot, so thank you for that. So, first I want to show you the snowfall amounts that were associated with this system. So let's check that out. As you can see, some of these snowfall amounts were rather significant. A widespread area across Nebraska got, you can see 4 to 6 inches. Locations, several locations got over 6 inches, marked by those yellow spots. And across Rapid City, the higher elevations right there, South Dakota, Rapid City, the Badlands area, you can see upwards a foot of snow fell. And yet again, I want to tell you, it's March 14th, right? Let me tell you, it's most likely still going to be very snowy across these locations, especially since they're expecting colder than average conditions across these parts of the country. Winter is still hanging on. Big storms are likely to occur across, the western half of the United States. Eastern half, maybe not so much, but even, you could see across parts of the Midwest, we could possibly see some snowfall amounts. You could see Bloomington, Illinois got 4 inches. Across Indiana, they got 4 inches as well. I got into Wyoming, Iowa. It's kind of silly name right there. Wyoming, Iowa, you could see they got up to 1 inch, 2 inches. And generally not a huge system, but definitely significant for occurring in mid-March, March 15th. So if we were to look, March 14th, sorry. So let's look at the upcoming patterns. So let's look at the GFS model, see what's coming for this week. If we were to look at this, we'll notice that we see a lot of just precipitation jumping around this next couple of days, Monday, Tuesday. Nothing really significant out of that. You can see a system develops across Canada, southeastern Canada. That doesn't affect us here. Notice, though, we see a large system coming off California. This really is powerful. Has a lot of moisture. There's a big trough with this. Sends a couple of bands of moisture. There could be some severe weather with this out ahead of it, and then you can see this thing just evolves into a really big storm. South Dakota, Minnesota, I mean, this would be a blizzard. You could see Iowa would be getting dumped on along with Minnesota, same with Nebraska, and then lots of rain for the southern side, very strong winds, very warm conditions out ahead of this, so we'll have to see how this all plays out. But again, it seems like this will be rather significant, to say the very least. And then if you're wondering what would happen after that, there's still expected, you could see storms. There's a system right here, which is very far out, but we'll have to see, what they do with that. But generally, obviously, warmer conditions are underway, but systems like these are still gonna be occurring. And you can see one right there, a beast of a system across Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, South Dakota, Nebraska. So let's look at the total snowfall accumulations with what the GFS shows, as that is only one of the models that we look at. You can see some pretty high amounts. I would say it's a little bit underdone. We're a little bit too scattered compared to reality. I think it's going to be more widespread, 6+ inches, maybe possibly even up to a foot of snow in some locations. Let's look at the Canadian model. Shows a similar storm. You could see pretty widespread, and again, it shows more consistent amounts, which is more believable. You can see a widespread area of a foot plus, so this would definitely be a significant storm, and that's definitely not what people want, especially with the ongoing, fears of the virus and all sorts of that, the illness. So You can see that this storm again comes off of California southwest into Wyoming, Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota. Really just expands into a beast of a storm. And this one has a little bit different of a structure than what the GFS shows. You can see it's more elongated, which would probably bring more snow, as it's more snow, heavy snow across a longer period of time. But again, some chilly conditions after that are possible. But then you can see the Canadian is showing yet another system occurring, so that would be interesting to note. Let's look at the European. Let's just look at the 500 millibar height anomaly, or geopotential height. So it tells us what the mean sea level pressure is and the heights of the heights of the atmosphere. And you can see that right now there is generally warm conditions will be for the next couple of days, but then we have that system occurring, and the European really speeds it out across kind of what the Canadian does and drops quite a bit of snow across the Minnesota, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Iowa, South Dakota area, and it's more elongated, taking more of a track what the Canadian does versus what the GFS does. And you can see later on we have a warm up right here marked by those yellow colors, and maybe another system. So the European also showing some pretty large amounts of snow. Let me show you that right now. So this is what the European is showing out of this system, which was out of the yesterday's model 12 or yesterday. Yeah, I think yesterday's 12 o'clock model run. You can see that it showed still, some widespread snow across these locations. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is snowfall amounts from yesterday's model run. You can see they had quite a bit of snow across Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, 12 inches plus easily, and then across these locations maybe 1 to 3 inches. So that's pretty interesting to note of. Let me show you the updated European model run now. So this is, you can see that the new model run from the European fully came in at this point. So let's look at it and notice it still shows that system across the Midwest right now. It's very weak. It will become, scattered. It could develop still a little bit of rain and thunder showers across the southeast. Nothing too severe though. Then we start getting these impulses. You can see Monday we have this first impulse of rain. Then we see a second impulse developing right there, a bigger one, and then the storm finally comes on by itself, and you can see it's right there across the Colorado Rockies, southern Colorado Rockies. And this one really, again, kind of like what the Canadian does, really just expands across Nebraska, South Dakota area, and it gets more elongated than what the GFS does, but it will definitely be an interesting one, and we'll have to see what exactly happens. And then you can see more storm chances as we go on into the future as well. But yeah, we'll definitely have to keep an eye on for this one right here, this upcoming one, as some pretty heavy snow could be falling, especially across the northern locations, like I mentioned, Nebraska, Minnesota. So, maybe not people that are completely not used to it, but definitely isn't really, unpleasant. It's definitely unpleasant as, well, it depends on whether you like snow or not. It's unpleasant, though, to see a snowstorm which has, fast winds, strong winds, and some snow accumulations. You can see this one has decreased the snowfall amounts. This European model shows lesser amounts, more across Nebraska and into South Dakota, but lesser amounts across Iowa and into Minnesota and into Wisconsin. You can see 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 inches, generally under 6 inches though. So let's also look at the Climate Prediction Center 8 to 14 day outlook. I want to show you that. You can see what it shows is the warm air to the south and cold air to the north. Now you may be saying, okay, well, that's not really what they're that's basically what they're showing, right? But this is, I want to emphasize that this is anomalies, or these are kind of I guess deviations from average. So you can see that anywhere up here will be colder than usually expected for mid-March, and here will be warmer than usually expected for mid-March. And I want to let you know that while this may seem typical, this kind of gets a track for storms like the one we're seeing. So this is called the baroclinic zone between the two air masses, the warm and the cold. And usually storms don't just travel through a cold air mass; they travel in between them, the most easier. They take the path of least resistance, and that's what we saw with this storm that's going to be occurring this week. It takes a very long path, and both of these air masses are blowing in opposite directions. Their winds. This one's blowing that way, this one's blowing this way, and this storm just speeds off really quickly. That's why with the European, if we were to look at the 240 millibars of pressure, or no, if we were to look at the geopotential height, you could see that it really quickly gets from here, Colorado, within 24 hours. It goes from here to all the way by the New York, which is really, really rapid. And usually not typical for a storm system any time of the year, really. Let's look at the 6 to 10 day outlook. If you were to look at the 6 to 10 day outlook, you could see this one is less further out, so it's from the 20th to the 24th. So it's a little bit closer in time, and you can see that it shows more cold air and a little bit less warm air, but generally the same pattern. And if we were to look at a 3 to 4 week outlook, which I'll pull up in just a minute, it shows generally more warm air than cold air across the United States. So that would be good news if if you're a spring lover. You can see that's from the 20th through the 10th of April, which will take us well into springtime. And there's a whole discussion which I'm going to read by myself. I'm not going to really share it here because it would just bore a lot of people. If you want to read it for yourself, type in 3 to 4 week outlook, and it should pop up. And if you want to add to the search CPC, Climate Prediction Center, that will also help out your search. So yet again, we'll have to keep an eye on the storm. It's still a little bit ways out, but it's definitely something worth keeping an eye on for. And hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.